Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss unit number 9, that is force and laws of motion. Earlier we have discussed motion of an object along a straight line in terms of position, velocity and acceleration. We also have studied motion can be uniform as well as non-uniform. In our everyday life we observe that some effort is required to put stationary object into motion or to stop a moving object. Moreover, pushing, lifting, and pulling of objects are all ways of bringing objects in motion. So now we will study the two types of forces, that is balanced as well as unbalanced forces. Let us take a wooden block placed horizontally on the table. We will attach say two strings to the both ends of the wooden block. So if we pull the block from the both sides with equal forces, block will not move. Such forces are called as balanced forces and do not change the state of rest or of the motion of the object. Now if we pull the block with two opposite forces of different magnitude, in this case block will move in the direction of greater force. Thus two forces are called as unbalanced forces and they act in the direction of the block moves, that is unbalanced force acting on object brings it in motion. Now if a block or a box is pushed on a rough floor with small forces or a single force, box will not move because of the friction acting in the direction opposite to that of the push. This friction arises between the two surfaces in contact. It balances the pushing force and hence box does not move. If the box is pushed with greater force, pushing force exceeds frictional force, thus we would get unbalanced force which would result in moving of box. An object moves with uniform velocity when the forces acting on the body or object are balanced and there is no external force on it. If an unbalanced force is applied on object, there will be change in either speed or direction of its motion. Thus, to accelerate an object, an unbalanced force is required. So now we will study the first law of motion. By observing motion of objects on an inclined plane, Galileo deduced that objects move with constant speed when no force acts on them. He observed that when marbles roll down on an inclined plane, its velocity increases. Galileo argued that when marbles are released from left, it will roll down the slope and go up on opposite side to same height from which it was released. He further added many more things in this observation. He finally concluded that an unbalanced, that is external force, is required to change the motion of the marble, but no net force is needed to sustain uniform motion of marble. Newton further added and studied Galileo's ideas on force and motion and presented three fundamental laws that governs motion of the objects. Those three laws are called as Newton's law of motion. So first law of motion stated that an object remains at rest or at uniform motion a straight line unless compelled to the change that state by an applied force, that is all objects resist change in their state of motion. In qualitative way, tendency of undistributed objects to stay at rest or to keep moving with same velocity is called as inertia. Thus first law of motion is also called as law of inertia. Certain experiences that we came across while traveling in a motor car can be explained by the basis of law of inertia. When a motor car takes a sharp turn at high speed, we tend to get thrown to one side. This can be explained on the basis of law of inertia. When an unbalanced force is applied by an engine to change the direction of motion of car, we slip to one side of the seat due to the inertia of our body. Now we'll study about inertia and mass. If an object is at rest, it tends to remain at rest. If it is moving, it tends to keep moving. This property of an object is called as inertia. So you might strike the question, do all the bodies have same inertia? So the answer is heavier or massive objects offer longer inertia. Quantitatively, inertia of an object is measured by its mass. Thus, we can relate inertia and mass as inertia is the natural tendency of an object to resist a change in its state of motion or of rest. Mass of object is a measure of inertia. So now we will study second law of motion. It states that if an object is to be accelerated, we know that a greater force is required to give a greater velocity. That is, there appears to exist some quantity of importance that combines objects' mass and velocity. One such property, called momentum, was introduced by Newton. Momentum is defined as product of mass and velocity. That is, we can write it as P is equal to mv. Momentum has both direction and magnitude. Its direction is same as that of the velocity v. As SI unit of the momentum is kg meter per second. As application of unbalanced force brings change in velocity of an object, it is thus clear that the force also produces change of momentum. Force necessary to change momentum of an object depends on time rate at which momentum is changed. Second law of motion states that rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of the force. So now we will see the mathematical formulation of second law of motion. Let an object of mass m is moving along a straight line with initial velocity u. It is uniformly accelerated to velocity v in time t by application of constant force F throughout time t. Thus, initial and final momentum of an object will be P1 is equal to mu and P2 is equal to mv respectively. So, the change of momentum will be proportional to P2 minus P1, which can also be written as mv minus mu, which can also be written as m into v minus u. So, the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to m into whole bracket v minus u upon t. So, applied force F is also proportional to m into whole bracket v minus u upon t. That is, F is equal to km into whole v minus u whole bracket t. That is, applied force F can be written as F is equal to kme. Here, acceleration A is equal to v minus u divided by t, that is acceleration, that is rate of change of velocity, and k here is defined as proportionality constant. SI units of mass and acceleration are kg and meter per second square. Also, force is equal to mass into acceleration, that is F is equal to ma. This implies that unit of force is kg meter per second square or Newton. Also, the second law gives us method to measure force acting on an object as product of its mass and acceleration. It is often seen in acting in our day-to-day life. First law of motion can be mathematically stated from mathematical expression from second law of motion. We can write F is equal to ma, that is F is equal to m into v minus u whole bracket upon t, that is Ft is equal to mv minus mu, that is when F is equal to 0, v is equal to u for whatever time t is taken. It means that object will continue moving with uniform velocity u throughout the time t. If u is equal to 0, then final velocity v will also be equal to 0, that is object will remain at rest or it is in position what it is. Now we will cover couple of the problems related to the second law of motion. So now first question is, constant force acts on an object of mass 5 kg for duration of 2 seconds. It increases object's velocity from 3 meter per second to 7 meter per second. Find magnitude of applied force. If force was applied for duration of 5 seconds, what would be the final velocity of the object? So the solution for this is, here initial velocity u is equal to 3 meter per second, final velocity v is equal to 7 meter per second, mass m is equal to 5 kg. So we will apply the formula F is equal to m into v minus u whole bracket divided by t, that is 5 into 7 minus 3 upon 2, where we will get as the force as 10 Newton. Now if this force is applied for duration of 5 seconds, that is t equal to 5 seconds, then phi length velocity can be calculated by writing v is equal to u plus f kt upon m. That is, we will write it as v is equal to 13 meter per second. So now the second problem is which would require greater force, accelerating 2 kg mass at 5 meter per second square or a 4 kg mass at 2 meter per second square. Here we have formula F is equal to ma. We also have m1 is equal to 2 kg, m2 is equal to 4 kg, a1 is equal to 5 meter per second and a2 is equal to 2 meter per second. Thus, substituting the values, we get F1 is equal to m1a1, that is equal to 2 into 5, which equals to 10 Newton, whereas F2 is equal to m2a2, which is equal to 4 into 2, that is equal to 8 Newtons. Thus, F1 is greater than F2. So, we can say that the acceleration of 2 kg mass at 5 meter per second square would require greater force than the other one. Now, the third question is, motor car is moving with velocity of 108 km per hour. It takes 4 seconds to stop after the brakes are applied. Calculate force exerted by brakes on motor car if its mass along with passengers is 1000 kilogram. So, the solution to this is initial velocity u is equal to 108 km per hour. That is, we can write it as 108 into 5 by 18, that is equal to 30 meter per second. We use this formula to convert kilometer per hour to meter per second. So now total mass along with passengers is 1000 kilogram and time taken to stop the motor car is 4 seconds. So we apply the formula F is equal to m into v minus u whole bracket divided by t, that is 1000 into 0 minus 30 divided by 4, where we will get answer as force is equal to minus 7500 Newton. The negative sign in this answer tells us that the force exerted by pressure is opposite to the direction of the motion of the motor car. So now we will study the third law of motion. First two laws of motion tell us how an applied force changes motion and provides us with method of determining force. Third law of motion states that when one object exerts a force on another object, second object instantaneously exerts a force back on first. These two forces are always equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. The two opposing forces are also known as action and reaction forces. We also have alternative statement of third law of motion, that is, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. It must be remembered that action and reaction always act on two different objects simultaneously. Even though action and reaction forces are equal in magnitude, these forces may not produce accelerations of equal magnitude. This is because each force acts on different objects that may have different mass. When a gun is fired, it exerts forward force on bullet. Bullet exerts an equal and opposite force on the gun. This results in recoil. As gun has much more greater mass than bullet, acceleration of gun is much less than acceleration of bullet. Another example of third law of motion can be illustrated when sailor jumps out of a rowing boat. As sailor jumps forward, force on boat moves in the backward direction. So guys, we will now study conservation of momentum. Suppose two objects of masses ma and mb are traveling to the same direction along the straight line at different velocities ua and ub, and there are no external unbalanced forces acting on them. Moment of ball A before and after collision are MAUA and MAVA respectively. Rate of change of momentum during the collision will be MA into whole bracket VA minus UA upon T. Similarly, rate of change of momentum of ball B will be MB into whole bracket VB minus UB upon T. According to the third law, force F of AB exerted by ball A on ball B and that of ball B on ball A is equal and opposite. That is, force AB is equal to minus of force of BA. That is, MA into whole bracket VA minus UA upon T is equal to minus of mb into vb minus ub whole bracket upon t. This, after simplifying, we can write it as MAUA plus MBUB is equal to MAVA plus MBVB. As total moment of two balls A and B before collision and its total momentum after collision, we observe that total momentum of two balls remains unchanged or conserved provided no external force acts on it. We can say that the sum of momenta of two objects before collision is equal to sum of momenta after collision provided that no external unbalanced force is acting on them. So now we will go through some couple of the problems. So first problem is bullet of mass 20 gram is horizontally fired with velocity 150 meters per second from a pistol of mass 2 kg. What is the recoil velocity of the pistol? So here we have data that mass of bullet M1 is equal to 20 gram, which is equal to 0.02 kilogram. Mass of pistol M1 is 2 kg. Initial velocity of bullet U1 and U10 pistol V2 is 0 respectively. Final velocity of bullet V1 is equal to 150 meter per second. Let V be the recoil velocity of the pistol. So total moment of pistol and bullet after it is fired is 2 plus 0.02 kilograms into 0 meter per second, which would give us 0 kilograms meter per second. So now total momenta of pistol and bullet after it is fired will be 0.02 into 150 meter per second plus 2 into v meters per second. Here we will get and total movement of pistol and bullet after it is fired will be 3 plus 2v kilograms meter per second. So now according to the law of momentum, total momenta after fire will be equal to total momenta before fire, that is 3 minus 2v will be equal to 0. After simplifying this, we would get v is equal to 1 minus 1.5 meter per second. Here the negative sign indicates that direction in which pistol would recoil is opposite to that of the bullet, that is right to left. So now another example is girl of a mass 40 kg jumps with horizontal velocity of 5 meter per second only on stationary cart with frictionless wheels. Mass of the cart is 3 kg. What is her velocity as the cart starts moving? Assume that there is no external unbalanced force working in the horizontal direction. So now let us take that v will be the velocity of a girl on cart as it starts moving. So total moment of girl and car before interaction will be 40 kg into 5 meter per second plus 3 kg into 0 meter per second square. That would give us total moment of girl and cart before interaction is equal to 200 kilograms meter per second. So now total moment after interaction will be 40 plus 3 kilograms plus v meter per second, that is 43 that is it will give us answer as 43 v kilograms per second per kilograms meter per second. Acceleration to law according to the law of conservation of momentum, total momentum is conserved during the interaction, that is 43 v will be equal to 200, that is after simplification we would get v as 4.65 meter per second, that is girl on the cart would move with the velocity of 4.65 meters per second in the direction in which girl jumped. So now the last example is two hockey players of opposite team while trying to hit hockey ball on the ground collide and immediately become entangled. One had mass of 60 kilograms and was moving with the velocity of 5 meters per second, while other has a mass of 55 kilograms and was moving faster with velocity of 6 meters per second towards the first player. In which direction with what velocity will they move after they became entangled? Assume frictional force to be negligible. So now let first player be moving from left to right. By convention, left to right is taken as positive direction and then right to left will be taken as negative direction. Now m is mass and u is initial velocity. Then for first player m1 will be equal to 60 kg and u1 will be equal to 5 meter per second. For second player m2 will be equal to 52 kilograms and u2 will be equal to minus 6 meter per second. So total momentum before collision will be 60 into 5 meter per second plus 55 into 6 meter per second, which would be equal to minus 30 kilogram meter per second. So now if v is the velocity of two entangled players after collision, total momenta then will be equal to m1 plus m2 into v, that is 60 plus 55 v meter per second, that would be equal to 115 meter per second. So now equating momenta of system before and after collision, we get that v would be equal to minus 30 by 115, that is v would be equal to minus 0.26 meter per second. Thus two entangled players will move with velocity of 0.26 meter per second from right to left, that is in the direction of second player was moving before collision. So now we will study a note on conservation laws. So all the conservation laws such as conservation of momentum, energy, angular momentum, charge and etc. are considered to be the fundamental laws in physics. They are based on observation and experiments. It is important to remember that a conservation law cannot be proved. It can be verified or disproved by experiments. An experiment whose result is conformity with law verifies or substantiates the law. It does not prove the law. On the other hand, a single experiment whose result goes against the law is enough to disprove it. The law of conservation of momentum has been deduced from a large number of observations and experiments. This law was formulated nearly 3 centuries ago. It is interesting to note that not a single situation has been realized so far which contradicts this law. Several experiences of everyday life can be explained on the basis of law of conservation of momentum. So now we will go through briefly about what we have learnt up till now. So we have learned that first law of motion, that is, an object continues to be in the state of rest or of uniform motion along a straight line unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. The natural tendency of objects to resist a change in their state or of rest or of uniform motion is called inertia. The mass of an object is a measure of its inertia. Its SI unit is kilogram, that is kg. Force of friction always opposes the motion of objects. The second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of the force. The SI unit of force is kg meter per second square. This is also known as Newton and is represented by the symbol N, capital N. A force of 1 Newton produces an acceleration of 1 meter per second square on an object of mass 1 kg. The momentum of an object is the product of its mass and velocity and has the same direction as that of the velocity. Its SI unit is kg meter per second. The third law of motion states that to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction and they act on two different bodies. In an isolated system where is no external force, the total momentum remains conserved. So here ends our unit number 9. It is force and laws of motion. So I hope you have learned and enjoyed this chapter. Thank you.